and welcome to Kent Tonight Live on KMTV. I'm Kristen Hawthorne and here are your top stories on Friday the 26th of September. Back on the map, Kent's political leaders come together to demand international rail return in Ashford.
I just don't know what's going to happen. We're really struggling to help these guys continue.
The final number, Isle of Sheppey Brass Band hosts farewell party.
We're very, very touched to see that people have actually travelled from further afield to come and say hello, come and say goodbye and come and say thank you. So we're really grateful for that.
And park protectors. Broadstairs campaigners rejoice as council press pause on auctioning abandoned depot.
And we are determined to make it better. And yeah, we are the Friends of Piermont Parks. And this is our little park and we love it.
First tonight, Kent political leaders from all parties have called for international train services to return to the county in the biggest push yet. Eurostar hasn't run services to Ashford or Ebbsfleet since 2020, but council leaders put their names to a joint agreement calling for further operators to step up, something that the rail regulator could allow in the coming weeks. Local democracy reporter Ollie Leader has been finding out what all the song and dance is about.
Back the vision, bring back the growth, we call on our leaders to stand by their oath.
It was a rare moment of political unity in Ebbsfleet and Ashford, as campaigners, council leaders and even the power of performative dance came together for one reason: to ensure international rail services return to the county.
Families no longer can easily jump on a train and get to Ashford, to get to Paris, to get to Lille, to get to Europe, go further on to their holidays, the ski train, the Disney train, let alone all the businessmen that were commuting on a regular basis. It's an absolute devastation.
The Kent countryside barrelling past me between Ashford and Ebbsfleet is a familiar sight to tourists using the Eurostar services, as these services have not stopped here in Kent since 2020. And that's why everyone's gathered here today to try and bring those services back and put pressure on Eurostar to stop taking the mickey.
We need to end the monopoly of Eurostar. We need a competition. We need new operators. That's the only way we can generate growth, bring more passengers and the train to stop in Kent Station.
For another operator to step in, that's something the Office of Rail and Road, which regulates the sector, will be making a decision on in the next month. But even if operators have the opportunity to run services, there's no guarantee about their frequency or when they'll start.
We need to hold them accountable. We need to ask them what we can do to help them make the right decision to open this up. Because we can't wait 3 years. 4 years until the other operators can do it. So Eurostar needs to be held to account. We need to really start talking to them about how can we help them do this.
Eurostar says it will review whether to reopen its Kent stations next year, and that they are closely monitoring the situation. But as a petition signed by more than 70,000 local people was handed over calling for services to return, and political leaders signed a joint agreement outlining their shared commitment on the issue, the message was clear, despite uncertainty about when international rail will return.
Well, I can tell you what I'm not going to do, and that is give up. I mean, you've seen the size of the event today in Ashford and here at Ebbsfleet. I think it shows that we have got a lot of very influential, very clever people behind us. We're going to keep lobbying. We will keep going until we return those stopping services to Kent.
The memorandum signed by key political figures from all parties here in Kent shows the political willpower to bring services back to Ebbsfleet and Ashford. And with a decision expected from the rail regulator regarding that depot space any day now, those services could be returning sooner rather than later. Ollie Leader in Ebbsfleet.
Now, 4 men have been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder after a man is said to have been stabbed in Sheppey. These details emerged this morning about the alleged serious assault in Halfway Road. Police responded to reports of a disturbance inside a property on Tuesday just after 11 a.m, where paramedics were called to a man and then he was taken to a London hospital after sustaining injuries. Around 10 officers were seen combing the area for evidence, and the police have since vacated the site, took the tape down after it was cordoned off since Wednesday morning. And now the St John's Ambulance Brass Band on the Isle of Sheppey hosted a farewell party thanks to the community for their support over the years. The closure was announced in June following a review of the building by the charity, which decided to close it due to high running costs and maintenance expenses. The band will be moving to a temporary home at the Sheppey Rugby Club. Our community reporter Henry Luck has more.
It's the end of an era for the St John Ambulance's brass band here on the Isle of Sheppey. Despite a battle that's lasted for months to stay at the unit, the group are now temporarily relocating to the Sheppey Rugby Club, and they've hosted one last goodbye party at the building that they've played at for many years.
Yeah, wherever we're going will be, at the moment, will be temporary. So, yeah, it is a very sad occasion that this is the last night, but it's good that a lot of people have turned out, you know, so it shows what support that the community have given, you know, to St John. Certainly the band, anyway.
As you can hear behind me, tonight isn't about sadness, but rather of hope, happiness, and new beginnings. As the brass band members of the St John Ambulance on the Isle of Sheppey move on to their temporary new home.
So really pleased. We had no idea. We put an open invitation out on our social media. We didn't know where we'd get 10, 20, but we've probably exceeded 100 in the hall, and we're very, very touched to see that people have actually travelled from further afield to come and say hello, come and say goodbye, and come and say thank you. So we're really grateful for that.
But some people believe there should be more support from St John Ambulance for the band, because as well as music, they can also provide medical aid.
There is nowhere in the country that has got a higher level of social deprivation as here on the Isle of Sheppey. There are other places as high in terms of social deprivation, but nowhere has more of those challenges. And I think, you know, to show commitment to when people are really standing up for themselves and standing up for their community, I'd really hope that the national organisation at St John's Ambulance steps in behind them and sees how it can help support them. People who want to deliver that first aid support, first response support.
St John Ambulance reviewed the building and decided to close it because of running maintenance cost, the unit's condition and location, which deemed the facility unsuitable for the charity. However, it says it remains committed to helping the brass band find a permanent home. But one thing is certain for this group: they're determined to make sure the beat goes on. Henry Luck for KMTV on the Isle of Sheppey.
Now, a housing developer is preparing to submit a planning application for around 200 homes on Greenbelt land, and residents are preparing to fight back. Miller Homes is currently in the pre-application discussion stage, and the Tunbridge and Mulling Borough Council about the proposed seat in West Mulling near Offham Road. A community group called Friends of Offham Road is looking to fight this, with a founding member, Mark Croucher, saying they don't believe it is inappropriate for sustainable development. Miller Homes has made a statement saying that they are working with planning officers and looking forward to sharing their plans with local residents. A council spokesperson said no formal planning has been submitted at this stage, however. I met with Mark Croucher, who has lived on Offham Road for 10 years.
So we've got a great action group across all of the residents, particularly those that live on Offham Road, and everybody shares the same view. We all appreciate the need to meet the housing targets, but our goal is to try and find the most sustainable way to do that. It's very clear to us that this really is not the best place to build over 200 new homes, over 500 cars, and all of the local residents and traffic that would come with that. This isn't a suitable location. It's consistently constrained from the country lane lanes and the narrow road, so access is really limited. Services aren't available. It just is not an appropriate place to build 200 new houses.
So just to reiterate, Tunbridge and Mulling Council are proposing the site in West Mulling near Offham Road, and it's at discussion stage. The full report is on Kent Online and we will be following the story as it continues. But last night, Tunbridge and Mullings, oh, there we are again. What do we see? We'll move on to this Lionesses. Last night, the London City Lionesses are set to have some of what some are calling the world's most advanced women's football training campus. The committee approved the transformation of Cobb Town Park to what we can see on screen now, creating over 50 new jobs and increasing investment into the local economy. The site will also have a community 3G pitch and space to expand for schools and pubs. We spoke with Sarah Batters, the Managing Director of London City Lionesses, to find out more.
The facilities will be the best in the world, and we'll be there to, serve our first team, who are the first independent club to be participating in the Women's Super League, but also create an academy with all the age groups to allow girls to access pathways into football within Kent. And we also have a community pitch, so we can invite our community in to come and play football on our site. That could be anyone from our local Kent girls and ladies football leagues to local schools or SNED, or even veterans walking football.
Time for a quick break now, but coming up we will hear more from lots of different people. Thank you so much. We're also going to take a look at the weather. We'll see you then. Bye-bye. Well, hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight Live on KMTV. Now, a female bear cat has escaped from its enclosure in St Mary Hoo. Suki, a bitch-wrong, was housed at the Fenbell Conservation Project Wildlife Park, and staff made the discovery it had gone missing yesterday morning. A spokesperson for the park said that she was last seen in the Bellwood area at around 8:30 a.m. and that they lost sight of her after being spotted at the far end of the site next to the woodland. With searches ongoing, a full investigation is underway, and anyone who spots the animal is urged to call the park. Next, a school in Ashford took part in a hike to fundraise for a new AstroTurf pitch. Highworth Grammar School has already raised £22,000 for its Pitch In for Our Pitch campaign. Last Friday, hundreds of students went on a 6-mile walk through Victoria Park, along Tur Valley Way and around Goddington House. The head teacher, Duncan Beer, stated that it was a great joy to see the school community enjoying the walk and that they're a little closer to replacing the school AstroTurf. But now, don't forget you can keep up to date with all our latest stories across Kent by logging onto our website kmtv.co.uk. There you'll find all our reports, including this one about the first cohort of medical students graduating after the university opened only 5 years ago.
Every year, Canterbury Cathedral sees thousands of students graduate, but there's something quite special about this particular ceremony. The students at the Kent and Medway Medical School will be the first group to graduate since the joint partnership between the University of Kent and Canterbury Christ Church University began back in 2020. In September 2020, Kent and Medway Medical School officially opened, making it the only medical school in the UK to open during a global pandemic. For many students, this unique opportunity was something that drew them to study here in Kent.
Yeah, well, for me, it was very much the selling point of coming to this medical school. They sold it as having the opportunity to be a part of shaping the school and what it would become. And that was very much why I wanted to come here. I wanted to be a part of the school and the process and what the training would be like to help mold it for the future years. And that is what it has felt like throughout my time here.
Today, there are over 500 students across the 5 years studying to become future healthcare workers here in the county, aiming to address what the school are calling a chronic shortage of doctors within the region.
Why are we here in Kent and Medway is well grounded in the experience of lots of other countries and lots of other healthcare systems where we know that medical students and medical graduates tend to stay closer to their own medical school. And so by feeding that workforce pipeline in Kent and Medway, we really hope that we'll make a difference to the medical workforce here in the county.
And for many students, they look forward to joining the workforce in an area they've already taken on placements.
Yeah, I think it's really good to be on the other side of things and be the doctor now. So I'm part of East Kent Hospitals Trust, which includes Ashford, Margate and Kent Canterbury. My placements are mostly going to be between Kent Canterbury and William Harvey. So my first placement's only 5 minutes away from where I live, so which is excellent. And then I'll be doing some commuting to William Harvey. But yeah, it's been really good. It's been quite good to see very familiar faces because I've done placements there before as well. So a lot of support. So yeah, it's been good.
It's clear to see that the students have not only studied locally, but are also joining the local workforces as well. Despite only being 5 years old, the Kent and Medway Medical School is offering opportunities to those who may have not even considered a profession in healthcare initially. Etalie Reynolds for KMTV in Canterbury.
So if you've been listening to the radio, you might have heard this today, but if a general election were held tomorrow, Reform UK would win 14 out of Kent's 18 constituents, according to a new projection from YouGov. This pattern reflected across the UK would see a major transformation of a political map in Kent, where Reform UK currently have no parliamentary seats. We are now joined by our reporter Alfie Rowe to break down the numbers. So Alfie, how big of a result is this for Reform UK?
Well, if the YouGov poll is to be believed, this would be a huge result for Reform UK. The national headline figure here is that Reform UK would win 311 seats across the country, which is just 15 short of an outright majority, and sets this man, Nigel Farage, up to become the next Prime Minister. On the local level, the results are you know, pretty bad for Labour, to be honest. Labour would lose 10 out of the 11 constituencies it won in 2024. And the last one it no longer holds because its MP, Rosie Duffield, resigned from the party late last year. This is in Canterbury. And the Conservatives wouldn't do much better. They would only retain 2 of the 6 seats they currently hold. These are Tonbridge and Sevenoaks. And the last remaining non-reform seat would remain a non-reform seat, which is Tonbridge Wells, which remains safely in the hands of the Liberal Democrats. As we can see here, got the full map of the UK. The light blue is what Reform was projected to win, courtesy of YouGov. And as you can see, the Kent district, a lot of light blue.
And is this how YouGov came to this conclusion, or how did they get to this answer?
Through a lot of complex polling data. YouGov is regarded as one of the most sophisticated and largest polling organisations in the country. And essentially what they do is combine a large polling sample, in this case over 13,000 voters, with other data such as census data, and this allows them to predict voter preferences on a granular constituency level.
And are there any shortcomings from this data?
I mean, yes, polling is notoriously never perfect and projections are not the same as guarantees. For example, as even YouGov would acknowledge, it's really hard to factor in tactical voting, which is when certain voters will lend their votes to other parties in order to stop parties getting in. You could see progressives do this to stop Reform UK winning certain seats, and the same thing with Tories and Reform to stop Labour winning key seats throughout the constituency. And timing is also key. It needs to be remembered that the general election is still nearly 4 years away, and fortunes can change very rapidly in politics, and that certainly seems to be the line that local Labour MPs are pushing. For example, we got the response from Jim Dixon, who's the Labour MP for Dartford, a seat Reform is now projected to win, courtesy of the local democracy reporting service, which we can see now.
I think we're all clear as MPs and as Labour Party members that we're in this for the long term. It's about changing Britain for good. The plan has started. Change is coming. We never said it would come quickly, but it's beginning to be noticed by people, and short-term polling is not the issue here. It's about long-term improvements to public services, unlocking economic growth, making sure that people's lives in Dartford and across Kent are improved, and that's what I'm singularly focused on.
Thank you, Alfie, for joining. Now it's time to take a quick look at the weather for the coming days. Tonight is looking cloudy with mild, partly cloudy skies and temperatures of around 9 and 13 degrees. Into tomorrow morning, much of the same weather with temperatures rising to 13 and 14, 15 then down in Dover. And into the afternoon, temperatures rising again to 18 degrees while wind speeds pick up to 7 and 9 miles per hour. Some sun though expected in the southeast. Sunday we have partly cloudy skies, 18 degrees, the exact same on Monday, although on Tuesday it rises to about 19 degrees, but looks like cloudy all around. And finally, campaigners in Broadstairs celebrate as Thanet District Council decide not to auction off a section of Paramount Park. The park is home to an abandoned council-owned depot, which was potentially set to be sold, with campaign groups like the Friends of Paramount Park worried that 7 trees in the park were in danger of being cut down. But as Megan Shaw has been finding out, that's no longer the case.
In the centre of Broadstairs lies Paramount Park, nestled between the High Street and the Town Hall. At just over 12,000 square metres, it has been the focus of discussion and dispute over the last few months. Thanet District Council, just last month, had their own planning application to create 4 properties rejected, and just last night had further plans to the park shelved.
Well, the council have got a depot which has been unused for several years now, and they wanted to sell it off. They need to sell assets to raise money. The trouble with this asset here is that it hasn't got its own access. So what they did was they put up part of our park as part of the access road, which is completely not right.
The intention here was to auction this land off, but that would also include the stretch of pavement accessing the depot. This raised the concern of campaigners and councillors who felt the access road would be at risk of being developed, disrupt wildlife, or cost a small stretch of precious park.
Just behind me is the abandoned council depot that last night Thanet District Council voted to decide not to sell.
As an environmentalist, we're always trying to protect the environment,
And Thanet has some of the lowest tree coverage in the whole country at between 4 and 5%. So every tree needs protection.
The Facebook group Friends of Piermont Park has been a focal point of community rallying.
I guess I was sort of influential in helping to bring everybody together, and we sort of designed some posters and we ran around and we talked to people and we put stuff out on social media and we wrote to all the councillors, and that's me.
A spokesperson from Thanet District Council confirmed the Cabinet's verdict with the decision subject to call-in. Putting the depot on the disposal list does not mean, however, that the council intend to do so, but opens the possibility in the future. For campaigners, they are adamant the battle is not over. As it is still possible the depot could be disposed of in the future, their sights are set on what kind of facility the depot could become.
I'd like it to come to the town council. The town council are the natural residents' representatives to own that, and I'd like it to be used by the community.
Megan Shaw for KMTV in Broadstairs.
Well, that's it. You've been watching Kent Tonight live on KMTV. There's more news made just for you throughout this evening. At 8 p.m, we'll have our bulletin, and then don't forget you can keep up to date with all the latest stories across Kent by logging on to kmtv.co.uk. You can also keep us on your social timelines by liking us on Facebook and following us on Twitter. We'll also have the full report about the 200 homes on Monday as well, so don't forget to tune in then as well. But all that and more, then we'll see you on Monday. Bye-bye.